Last year, the Miami Heat made a finals appearance without encountering any 7-game series. They didn't have a superstar or the star power that many other teams had, but they still ended up being more successful in the playoffs. And with the disappointing performance in this year's regular season, and especially the playoffs, many people are wondering if the 2020 Miami Heat finals run was a fluke. There are 3 reasons why I don't think last year's finals run was a fluke. Pat Riley and the Heat's front office constructed a balanced roster that fit really well together. There was great coaching from Eric Spoelstra, and it was great execution by the players. Let's look at how the team was constructed. You had a core of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and if you wanted to, you could slide Goran Dragic in there. And as good as Jimmy is in the clutch hitting threes, overall he isn't a great 3-point shooter. Bam has a little bit of a mid-range game, but barely even attempts any threes. And that's why the Heat had Goran Dragic, Tyler Hero, Jay Crowder that actually shot 45% from 3 in Miami, Myers Leonard and Kelly Olynyk that could stretch the floor, and Duncan Robinson, of course, one of the best shooters in the league right now. And Goran, Tyler, and Duncan don't have the best defense. That's why the Heat had Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Jay Crowder, and Derrick Jones Jr. And although the Heat don't have any elite playmaker, the roster is filled with capable passers. Last season, Jimmy Butler was playing the point forward and had a career high in assists with 6 a game. Bam Adebayo is pretty underrated when it comes to his passing ability, as I think he's the second best passing center in the league. And Goran Dragic is actually an underrated playmaker. Having a roster full of capable and willing passers ensures that your team will have great ball movement for open looks for snipers like Duncan Robinson, or just having the ball to the open man. And in the first round of the playoffs, they faced off against the Indiana Pacers, and it was clear who was going to win. Even though the Pacers had the 4th seed and the Heat had the 5th seed, Victor Oladipo wasn't fully healthy and Sabonis was out with an injury, so they were relying on bubble TJ Warren to light it up. But Jimmy Butler clamped up TJ, and the Heat just outplayed the Pacers every single night as it was a sweep. In the second round against the Bucks were the favorites, but Miami matched up really well with them. The main thing was that the Bucks' defensive scheme was to secure the paint before defending the perimeter, and Miami was one of the best 3-point shooting teams, and they had the personnel to trap Giannis similar to what the Raptors did the year prior. And the Heat beat the Bucks in 5 games. Giannis was injured, but the Heat were already up 3-0 before Giannis was injured, and no team in history has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. It's one thing that a 7-game series is almost never a fluke, but the Miami Heat won in 5 games, a gentleman's sweep. That's not a fluke. And in the Eastern Conference Finals, they faced up against the Boston Celtics. These were 2 fairly equal teams, but Miami had the better matchup once again. The main thing was that Boston didn't have a good big man, or any depth for that matter. So guess who had a good series? Bam Adebayo, the all-star center. He put up 22 points, grabbed 11 rebounds, and dished out 5 assists, and did this on 60% shooting from the field. Miami played good defense on the Celtics backcourt, and just outplayed them. Miami just looked like the better overall team. The Celtics did put up a fight, as some of the games were close, but the Heat eventually won in 6 games. And in the finals, the Heat went up against LeBron, AD, and the Lakers. And they didn't win. That's why it wasn't a fluke. Both teams had a good overall roster, but LA just had the star power. Miami would put up a fight as they pushed the series to 6 games, but rarely do we see a team win a 7-game series while being the worst team. And that's why the Miami Heat's finals run last year wasn't a fluke. No one just happens to find themselves in the NBA Finals while never even having a 7-game series on the way there. The NBA playoffs are literally designed to have the better team win, and that doesn't get ignored for 2 or 3 series. Every series except for the finals, the Miami Heat just look like the better team. But this year, there's no excuse for not even winning a game. But that also doesn't take away from what they did last year. This year, they missed Victor Oladipo, which could have added another 15 to 20 point per game score, and we already know what Jimmy Butler is capable of, but he couldn't execute that this postseason. He had arguably the best perimeter defender on him in Drew Holiday, and the reigning defensive player of the year was on him too. Bam Adebayo didn't have a good series either. in Game 1, both teams played pretty well. You had Jimmy Butler sending the game to overtime, and Chris Middleton hitting the game winner in overtime, and it looked like it was going to be a really competitive series. But after the Bucks won by 34 points in Game 2, they just had the momentum and confidence just to plow through the Heat. And this year, they matched up better because the Bucks got better and the Heat got worse. But I guess the question is, can the Miami Heat be in serious finals contention year after year? And I would say no. If the best team in the East has their star player injured or go down with an injury, or the top teams are just weaker than normal, then yes, I think they can be in that serious conversation. Last year, for example, the Sixers were a threat, but Ben Simmons was out due to an injury. The Bucks didn't have enough star power, and the Heat had the personnel to stop Giannis. The Raptors lacked a superstar and a closer, and the Celtics lacked at the big man position and depth in general while not even having a superstar. The East was pretty weak, and the Heat took advantage of that. Does that make it a fluke? I don't think so. The NBA playoffs have a 7-game series each round to ensure that fluke runs don't happen. You have to be the better team to win a 7-game series, let alone win 3 in a row just to get to the finals. And as I said at the beginning of the video, there are 3 reasons why I don't think the Miami Heat's finals run last year was a fluke. Pat Riley and the Heat's front office constructed a balanced roster that fit really well together. They had great coaching from Eric Spoelstra, and there was amazing execution by the players. That was the recipe for success. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I respond to every comment, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe for future basketball content, and thank you for watching.